Hey everyone, welcome back to Download or Not for the Prime Gaming. This month was very interesting and we'll get to that after this intro. So this month we only have 3 games and they added some other games for other clients. As you know, I don't usually play those. So we have Fallout 76, Middle Earth, Shadow of War, and Warhammer 2. So these come out through the various clients like Epic, GOG, Microsoft Store. I usually don't touch those. I stick to the ones on the Amazon client. So we'll start off with Heroes Hour, which came out this year. Got a 77 on Metacritic and about $18 normally on Steam. And you're looking at about 4 hours of gameplay, but I feel like this is a weird estimate. This is a turn-based strategy game. Very old school graphics, which I thought was presented very well. I did like the look, even though it took you back in time, and that's what the game was aiming for. This is similar to real-time strategy games like Age of Empires and Command & Conquer. You're collecting resources, there's enemies on the field to fight, but once you fight, you go into this real-time strategy fight, but the whole board is turn-based. So you move a certain amount of steps for each of your heroes, and then you have to wait for your opponent's turns. The fighting is kind of automated for the most part. You have your troops expand out and they attack each other. You can control where they move and cast spells, but other than that, you're kind of watching this play out. It reminds me a lot of the Nintendo Game Boy DS games that we did this similar approach. But it works pretty well. You need all these resources to build your town up, so you have a center town, or you can get other towns. And this helps improve your soldiers, allow you to unlock more things. Very interesting concept overall. It was hard to rate this one. I could see why I got a 77. And it ultimately came down to the question I always ask for these tough games. Would I go back and play this later? And I would say not for me personally. And this is a very on border. The pros here is if you like these map-based games and looking for something a little different. I never played one that was very real-time strategy but turn-based. Like I played the Risk games, but this one seemed a little different. And was paying homage to the old school style that I remember I remember Command & Conquer looking like. So it was nice to play that. The con here will be that throwback graphics. If you didn't like how it looked from these screenshots, you're not going to like the game because it was mainly based off of that. Next up, we got Horace, which came out in 2019. I was introduced to this game through Epic, one of the free games one time. So I was interested to play it because for some reason I just let it set in my Epic library. You're looking about $15 normally, 81 on Metacritic, and a platformer that takes about 14 hours, so a little lengthy for a platformer. Again, the graphics here is very old school, but I liked how it was done. I liked that the cutscenes stuck to this 16-bit style. Like, it transitioned very smoothly. I liked all that. Even though these close-ups look weird. Like, you could tell Horace was smiling in some of them. But it was very pixelated. So it was kind of cool to have that. This is not really an attack platformer. It's kind of more puzzle heavy with boss fights. You don't like really jump on people's heads. You kind of have to dodge a lot more. You can kind of throw things, but it's not really based off kind of attacks as much. The story here, you're Horace, you're a robot that was brought into this mansion, and you were made purposely to clean. You meet a lot of the people in this mansion, and then some events happen where you get shut off for about years, it seems like, in the game, and you wake up to this post-World War. And this is where the story gets very interesting and kind of hooked me in. The beginning part, before you kind of go to sleep or shut off, is very long, I guess, and kind of explaining the characters, where I thought this game was going to be a very different direction because I literally was kind of cleaning and jumping around and doing these, but you would get hints that something else was going on. So that kind of kept me through the whole tutorial section, and I did like the tutorial was done pretty smoothly. And there were some jokes that made me laugh throughout, so I kind of stuck with it, and I'm glad I did. The story here is very adult themed. Minus how this game looks, there is some things that happened that I was like, oh, this game is not what I expect at all. The power-ups are cool. The first big power-up you get is these boots, which you can kind of change gravity with them. They're like gravity boots, and that's the first power-up. So like you get stuff kind of crazy after a while, and these puzzles made it very fun. I enjoyed the puzzle as this and thinking like, oh, I need to go upside down to make this jump, then go sideways. And the bosses that I played so far were fun and unique. I enjoyed them a lot. The game is made by two developers that are very big into video games, like hugely into them. So there is a lot of references, a lot of callbacks to old games. This was made in 2019, so obviously it had a limit, but I enjoyed all these references, and I even had a blast with a glitch. I glitched out on this boss here, and I was about to make a note of it. I was like, oh man, this game's glitchy after 3 years being out. But I got a cool special death scene, and I was like, oh, they even kind of caught the glitched out area or going out of bounds. So I enjoyed that a lot as a programmer, just to kind of put barriers there. So I would say this is a download. The Pro here, it's a very unique platformer, a lot of video game references, and I was having a lot of fun, even though you are this robot. The con here is the boots is very early on. You could get kind of confused with like motion sickness. I know a couple times I kind of bounced around and the screen went crazy. And if you're not big into like the puzzle platformers, you might not like this one. Last up, LucasArts. We just can't get past these LucasArts game. I will admit, if you love this and you grew up with these games, I know you're having a blast, and I hope you are very excited. I don't know. But we have LOOM, 1990. It came out, $6 on Steam, about 3 hours, so it's a relatively short point-and-click game. What I liked, I'll just go over. The pixel art was kind of cool. I did enjoy the look of the game. It's obviously dated, but it didn't look bad for 1990. It was a unique story about this group of weavers, kind of like this, I wouldn't say medieval, but this magical timeline world, and you just kind of weave stuff, and that's how you kind of fight and interact, and you're trying to figure out your history of this character. You kind of started, a lot of people don't like you, and things went crazy ever since you were born, so you're trying to figure that out. Interactions are done with this song, with the staff here you get, and you need to remember all them songs. You'll find them, you'll do interactions to kind of guess what the song is for, and you'll have to interact with things to do that. So it's a simple interaction with left clicking everything, but you have to play a song to open certain things and stuff. So they kind of make it a little easier instead of picking verbs to interact. My normal complaints with this genre, especially back in this time, you have to guess where to go next with very little guidance. The controls were kind of clunky. I felt like I had to click things a lot of times before they would interact. At least at the bottom right, it will show you that you can interact with it. But like, I know a couple things I clicked like 6 times before the character like acknowledged. And again, this game was too old for me. I didn't play many PC games back in this time. I was relatively young and kind of would go to my cousin's house for a computer. So I remember this crappy bowling game. Didn't play a lot of point and click games. So again, with the trend of the LucasArts, a not download for me. The Pro here is always going to be the nostalgia. If you play this, I'm sure you're happy to see this come up and excited to get it for free if you haven't played it for a while. I did read in the Steam reviews, some people were like, oh, I wish I left this in the past. But definitely let me know. I would like to know someone that's very big in the LucasArts games and just let me know how they're enjoying it. I know I kind of trash them a lot, but I know these were good games for their time. Con here, point and click, the normal complaints I always have. Well, thank you for your time. I hope you enjoyed these 3 games, and see you next month for some more free games. Peace.